First of all, if you can see this, that means that you became a member to the We Watch Anime channel, so thank you. You are almost certainly either one of the first, or if you're seeing this somehow like way after it came out, it means you went way back through the archive to watch incredibly old videos that are not temporally relevant anymore. But in case you are living in the moment and seeing this maybe even the day it came out, DANDADAN. I covered the first episode on the We Watch Anime channel. I also posted on Twitter. That's the version that you could that watch that doesn't look kind of fucked. This footage isn't very easy to get onto YouTube. I suspect I'm going to try to make videos about each episode of this show because it's only going to grow in popularity, and frankly, I have been waiting. I've been waiting my whole career for there to be a show that was like an obvious, sure thing that I would also enjoy and have enough to say about, and be capable of saying enough about it to talk about it at this level of depth. And I feel like I missed a few shots. Like, when I had a really successful Hunter x Hunter video, I should have gone back and, like, covered the whole show, before anybody else really had talked about it. One Punch Man was a show that, like, I didn't really watch it while it was first airing. I kind of came to it late and then realized it was really good and that I should have kept up with it. But usually when a show's really popular, it's Demon Slayer, and I'm over here like, ooh. I warmed up on Jujutsu Kaisen, and I do want to talk about that manga now that it's done. But that's, like, already finished and, kind of... I mean, the anime will be going on for years, but the manga kind of is already done. The anime is not really in, like, a hype period right now. It's in between seasons. But DANDADAN has come along, and I knew the anime would probably be good. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. I definitely did not expect to have so much to say about the first episode. Will this be true of the second episode as well? I don't know. It doesn't really have to be. The first one, 35 minutes, is pretty long for a video about one episode of an anime. But I usually have more to say about a first episode of a show as well, because that's when we first start learning about the art style, learning about the characters, and usually from then on, the show kind of reiterates those points, Usually, the first episode tells you a pretty sizable amount of what you need to know about a show. It's rare that it doesn't, and usually that's because the show kind of finds its footing as it goes along. It maybe isn't completely sure what it's trying to say at first. I think this show knows exactly what it's doing right off the bat, which makes it exciting. So, I reacted to a bunch of reactions. In my video about the first episode, while I was writing it, was watching other people's reactions and kind of incorporating those into my script and incorporating them into the edit of the final video. And I kind of wished I had like my own raw reaction. I'd thought about filming that to begin with, but I wanted to make sure I actually really cared about the show first. And once I realized I did, I was like, okay, this would be fun to record my reactions, but I don't want to release them. I don't want people to confuse them for being analysis videos or being what my channel is like about. I don't want these to come out and people think that I'm flooding the channel with like this type of content that for me is basically just, I'm going to watch the episode anyways, obviously, in order to talk about it. I'm going to say most of these same things probably in the analysis video. I just think it's fun to have this footage and to be able to, if I have a strong reaction to something, cut that footage into the edited version of the video. So, this is basically just a bonus for people who want to have this experience with me of watching the episode, seeing my reaction in the first place, seeing the germs of the idea that would come into the later video. Bonus stuff for the types of people who would pay to get more of the content, but something that doesn't detract from my ability to make the stuff you actually want to see. Like the edited version of this that people would obviously prefer over just a vlog where I'm reacting to it, but it builds towards that. Fucking planes. Welcome to Ward's Corner. Alright, that's enough explanation. Let's watch the episode. And I will be editing this. It's not going to be just like all the way through. I don't want to make the copyright policing any worse than it has to be already. I like that we picked up literally right where we left off. Gobble that weenie. It definitely feels like you could have, like if you cut out the OP and ED and this just ran right after the first episode, it would feel completely natural. You know, like it wouldn't feel like you had started a new episode per se. It would feel like you're just watching the same film, you know? Especially doing something like this that really changes the pacing. Like it would feel really good to see this at this point, like remembering the first episode. If this just played right after that, I could see how this rhythm would fit so well. I don't know if that's partly, I don't know if they played the OP and ED when they played this. Like the first 3 episodes were presented. This is also very ping pong. Very, very, you know, Masaaki Yuasa. I like that a lot. I'm very curious to compare this to the manga because it's like, I've seen shows that do this where like they're adapting the manga panels to animation, but I don't know if that's what's happening here per se. It's a very unique approach to showing us the town without just showing us them walking through the town, like basically letting the fact that the voice acting implies, you know, the movement, do the footwork of not having to just draw them walking over and over. It is also very ping pong now that I think about it, to have that animation style show up in the OP. Ping pong influence is always very welcome. That is a beautiful show. Coming on 10 years old now. Oh shit. You burning up. I like that zoom. This episode definitely feels really different from the first one. Even though it feels like such a solid continuation, it also feels like the style has shifted. It's interesting. Like, at first I was thinking, you know, like what I said about it feeling like just one cohesive film, I kind of now feel like taking that back because the actual feeling of the episode is so different from the first one that even though it's like it's like if you're listening to an album that, like, perfectly transitions between a loud song and a soft song. Like, think about, like, going into the Vampire of Time and Memory on fucking, Like Clockwork by Queens of the Stone Age. Like, that perfect flow into something totally different. Also, they're really into, like, having a character leave the frame and then come back somewhere else quickly, which is fun. I have this article, it's kind of long, and I haven't felt like adapting it to a video, but it's called Addressing the Artifice in Art. And it's about just, I like when art, like, really is pushing the fact that it's doing a thing into your face, kind of. And this show does a good job of that. It's hard to really describe. Probably something I'll have to get into detail when I write my video. All the mirror shots are really fun. Especially coming off of my Perfect Blue analysis, where the more you look at that movie, the more you realize there's just constant reflections. Constantly Mima being reflected back on herself from mirrors and stuff like that. Which I'm sure was a real bitch to animate. Oh, you got no dick? Did she really gobble as Glizzy? I like the thicker outlines on him there. It's a cool technique to, like, if you're gonna have a shot where it's like just a static shot, like draw the character with the thick emotional lines. It makes you feel like they're in their feelings, you know? They're sitting in their bones. Rigid. I like the pinks of her room remind me of the pinks of her uniform. Her whole pink and purple aesthetic thing she's got going. I'm into it for sure. Some little spruces of green and yellow in there. Some nice blue. Yeah, her whole aesthetic is rad. She's got big eyebrows just like me. Okay, I just had to take a long break there because there was some people fixing a garage door, and I'm in the garage. But let's continue this real quick while I'm boiling potatoes. Dun, dun. That reminds me of that noise that Minoru Shiraishi makes. Relatable. Bluntly reciting people's weaknesses. Something I try to hold myself back from doing, but unfortunately is most of what I think about. Oh shit, the spirit doorbell. I love that. That's such a fun bit of magic. Fun little magic idea, and a great way to establish it. Like, you just hear a doorbell, and then she's like, that's not a normal doorbell, actually, you know? This episode is so different from the first one in terms of storyboarding in particular. I'm very curious, very, very, very curious who directed and who storyboarded this episode, how much shared staff there was between the first and second episode. Because a lot of the time, you know, there can be totally different groups basically handling the first few episodes at the same time. We talked about that with Shimoon, how, like, very obvious it was that the first, like, 4 or 5 episodes had to have all been made at the same time, and, like, there's a very stark drop-off in quality that suddenly comes back to full quality when, like, the main team makes their next episode. Oh, shit. I really like this music. Kind of like a very modern sounding version of like a 70s funk bass line almost, because it kind of reminds me of like the band that does War, What Is It Good For, or something. It sounds like it would be a backing for like a quartet, like a jazz quartet loop that would go on for 8 minutes. This guy's fucking very different. Like the fact that every single spirit or alien or whatever almost, it's like a totally different ethos of design. It's really interesting. Like, there's certain similarities in just like the author, I guess the original illustrator, the logic of how he figures out how to design things is somewhat similar. Like the language of the design, I guess is what I mean. But like, he goes out of his way to make each one like very distinct. See, and I was even thinking, like, it kind of is, if it's anything, it's closer to the aliens than it is to the spirits. Because, like, Granny is more humanoid, and this thing is more robotic, which is also true of the, you know, unmasked villains, or the aliens from the first episode. But, like, so basically they're arguing that this is something that is understood culturally as a spiritual phenomena, but only because it's based on people having seen aliens. I like that a lot. Good way to cross over their two things, you know, immediately. That's a great shot. Also a great shot. That was very Trigger-esque. Especially the fact that it wasn't animated. I wonder if that's something they'll change later. Like on the Blu-ray, if they'll actually animate more of an explosion there. I didn't mind the way it was done, I just could see it being redone. Like, if that cut wasn't finished, that was a good compromise to keep it in the episode without, you know, doing like pulling a Shaft Monogatari and just showing blank frames. Well, let's see, that was a kind of a similar effect, right? Like, show the lights and then you just cut to black. This is definitely a way to, like, do an episode that still feels exciting, but without having to literally overclock the animation the whole way through to do that. This is how you make something that's not as impressive, but also isn't a fall off, you know? I'm sure somebody's going to say something about black and white being used as a cost-cutting technique, which is not a thing at all. It's just as many colors. They're just different. They're just not, you know. It takes extra effort to reimagine everything in grayscale. Because you can't just draw it normal and then make it black and white. It's not going to look right. They had to pick the grayscale color palette for this episode, so that's actually a lot of extra effort. And the spot coloring here is really cool and clever. He's very Tokyo Ghoul now, and he's an emo. He's turned into an emo. There really is so much going on with this show that, like, just trying to even address what I'm looking at distracts me from the plot. I'm glad I know I'm going to watch this a bunch of times. Like, it's so refreshing to be watching an anime and thinking, there's so much going on. This is badass. Come on, show me some killing. Nope. Get fucked. So many just fun little deliveries in this show. Like that one. This particular gimmick is definitely going to be popular. This character gimmick, I mean. There's going to be a lot of literally me talk of this character, I think. Ooh, I love that. The timing on that was super satisfying. Whoa, what the hell? That was cool. Whoa! He kind of pulled the trick like the granny did, like changing what is up and down for himself, you know? Oh, damn! DBZ level, crushed into the walls there. Love the way that was animated. The way she disappeared, like, so far into the background, and then he was just crashing into her in the next shot. Yeah, I love the way her voice sounds. Yeah. Sorry, that was me reacting to the voice performance being so good. Not to her getting the shit kicked out of her. Oh, yeah. The harmony shot. I also wouldn't be mad if that was in place of an unfinished animation. But if it's just there to be cool, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with if this episode is trying to establish like a lower baseline of what we should expect from the show, but also still be like impressive and cool at the same time. I'm totally okay with it. That was also an amazing shot. Seeing like the just rural, like regular rural Japan shots is always funny because it feels so much like, you know, 25 other anime that I could think of that take place in places like this, except that the particular blue of the sky, so bright. Only Suritama has a sky that blue, I feel like. But it's like, oh hey, non Biori, oh hey. Like, Inu Yansha, no, I don't know. Your name. Natsume Yujin Cho. That's the one that came to mind first. Whoa. Oh, that looked awesome. Oh, man. I want some fucking Zammed Lost Memories shit here. Whoa. Oh, I've never seen that before. That was so cool. That was fucking legendary. Alright. Well, DANDADAN episode 2, still amazing. Tons to unpack there. I feel like I barely even processed half of what was going on my first watch, so I'm glad I did this, and I'll be able to remember what I even was reacting to when I start going way deeper into actually trying to explain to myself what was going on there. But wow, this show is really good. Alright. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a member. Look forward to the full version. And I'll see you in the next member-exclusive video.